Are you worried that a guy that you've just started seeing might not be telling you the full truth, or even worse, that he might be using you? Well, I'm going to help you get to the bottom of it today, because we're going to go through 10 signs that a guy is a player. Hi ladies, Matt Shaffer, your empowerment, connection, and relationship coach. I'm a former attorney who's committed his life to supporting you and creating the sort of fun, fulfilling, dynamic connections and relationships with men that you are so worthy of. And this is a topic that I am super passionate about. I work with my clients and students on it all the time. How to tell if a man that you're starting to see, a man that you're considering giving your heart to, if he's on the level, if he's worthy of your love, or if he's a player, if he's a man who is a misogynist, if he's using women. They're out there, ladies, and I'm going to help you figure out if he is one of those or not. But before we get to it, take a second, hit that little subscribe button, and don't forget to click that link in the comments and caption, because I have an amazing free training coming up on August 9th. I'm going to be doing a free beta run of my course, Mastery of Connection. This is a $2,000 course. I'm going to be doing it absolutely free. All you have to do is click that link, fill out an application, and you're going to get 3 weeks of live coaching with me, over 20 video modules teaching you various aspects of how to connect with yourself and men and everyone in the world around you at the deepest possible level. I guarantee you this is going to be a transformational experience. Plus, you're going to get like 50 plus live hours of coaching with me with a huge community of incredibly huge-hearted women. So be sure to click that link and sign up. Again, we start in about 3 weeks, but even if you're watching this video later, you can still be a part of the tribe. We're going to be doing this for 3 full weeks, and we'll be letting people in the whole time. So I hope to see you there, and let's dive into this video. So let's start off with the definition. What is a player? Well, a player is a man, usually a deeply wounded man, who looks at relationship purely as a vehicle, as a mechanism to get physical gratification. Yeah, to get sex, okay? And the goal of a player, right, is to get as much physical gratification, as much sex as possible with the minimal or least amount of investment possible. They want to have the easiest road. They want to take the path of least resistance to get as much sex as possible, because it's like a gratification thing. It's an ego thing for them. They can never have enough. And their entire goal, right, is to try to manipulate as many women as possible, as often as possible, into giving them what they want, which is sex. Okay, so it's they're often physically attractive, they often are very charismatic, and they know how to leverage these tools and gifts that they have to charm you and make you think that they are a potential candidate for a relationship, knowing that if they can make you believe that, then they can get you into bed. Okay, so but these 10 signs that I'm going to share with you are going to help you identify, before you make a decision like that, if that person is worth going to bed with, or being in a relationship with, or caring about at all, or not. Because as soon as you figure out that one of these guys is a player, you're going to want to give them the heave-ho. And the 10th sign that a man might be a player is that they're only hanging out with you on their terms. That means they're very controlling and very specific about the way that they'll engage with and relate to you. So they're either only going to hang out with you at their place, or they're only going to hang out with you at your place, and you never see their place. That's definitely sketchy, right? A lot of times guys that are operating like this are very last minute. So I like to say they're a last minute Larry. They're only hitting you up on Friday and saying, hey, want to go do something this weekend, or want to go do something tonight? They're never giving you any advance notice, because guess what? It's not about you. It's not about you. It's not about your needs. And they need to be hyper controlling about the way that they engage with you, because chances are they're dating, hanging out with or spending time with 3 or 4, however many other women at the same time. And so you have to be very controlling if you want all those pieces to stay in the air. So if a man is hyper controlling, if he's making plans with you very last minute, and he's not asking for your feedback on times to hang out, he's not really concerned about your needs in that regard, chances are he might be a player. And the 9th sign that you might not want to trust this guy is if immediately after sex, they check out. If immediately after physical intimacy, their emotional state radically changes towards you, or they have some excuse and they have to go, right? That's often a sign that a man has zero emotional investment in you, and that he got what he was coming for, pun intended. And it's very important to recognize this as a pattern, that if they're always getting out as soon as they get off and they always have some big excuse about where they need to be, they have work in the morning, they're tired, they forgot, they have their dog they need to let out, you don't even know if they have a dog. You don't want to accept those bailout excuses, right? Because a guy who's in that position, he knows that his only prerogative is to say whatever he has to say to get out of your house. Okay, so be clear that if a man is doing this on a consistent and regular basis, once in a while, yes, you do forget that you have something to do at home or you do have work the next morning. It's okay for that to happen every now and again. But if he's consistently checking out and bailing on you immediately after physical intimacy, might be a player. And the 8th sign that a guy might be using you is if you never meet any of his friends or family, right? Because generally, people that are very charismatic, these sort of people, they have a wide network of friends. They've got a lot of people in their life. But if you, despite all the time you spend with him, you never meet any of those people, you only hear stories about them, or maybe he doesn't even tell you stories about them because he doesn't want you to start thinking about them, right? But if you never meet any of the people in his life, or if he never has any activities planned, if you're just hanging out with him in isolation, and it's, again, only at his place or only at your place, and there's never dates, it's just hanging out late night, it's not a good sign, right? If a man isn't introducing you to the people in his life, chances are, he's not interested in integrating you into his life because at some level he's objectified you and he may just be a player and you're just one of his conquests, right? Because at the end of the day, you got to remember, these guys are looking to do the least amount of work possible. They're looking to get the best ROI, the best return on their investment possible. They want to get the greatest amount of physical intimacy with the least amount ever possible. So if a guy is being super lazy consistently over time and it's always just about hanging out and you're never meeting any of his people, chances are the guy is not someone you want to trust. And the 7th sign that a guy is a player is if he brings up sex or sexual innuendo very early on in a conversation. And it's important to think about these guys as a kind of bully or a predator, right? And what does a bully or a predator do? They like to test your boundaries and see where you're at, okay? So a lot of times, because they want to see, how much work are they going to have to do to try to get to the target objective, which is, again, physical intimacy, right? So a lot of times early on in a conversation, a player is going to say something overtly sexual or make some really flirtatious sexual comment way before y'all have established that as a dynamic, sort of just to see like where you're at and if you're going to push back against him. For example, one of my students was in the early stages of talking to a guy on a dating app, and they were just having a nice conversation, maybe lightly flirty, but nothing heavy. And all of a sudden, he just says, "Can I come give you a massage?" And when I say he said come, I don't mean he didn't spell it C-O-M-E. He spelled it the other way, right? Which is very, very suggestive and very inappropriate, right? Given the context of how that conversation was happening. And so why was he doing that? He was basically discreetly trying to see, hey, can I just come over and fool around with you? Was what he was trying to probe her to see if she was just down to do that, right? And of course she responded with powerful boundary statements and he backed off and played dumb. And we're going to talk about that in one of our next signs, okay? But one of the first dead giveaways that a guy is just out for sex and he's just looking for physical intimacy is if he's lobbing inappropriate sexual comments at you very early and just seeing how you respond to him, right? Because he's evaluating, like, is this worth my time and my effort, or should I move on to another target? Because chances are with these guys, it's a numbers game. They're talking to a lot of women, and they're just throwing spaghetti on the wall and seeing what sticks, all right? So you don't want to be that spaghetti. So if a guy's doing that, be sure to shut him down and set some boundaries. And the 5th sign that a guy might be a player is if he wants to exchange sexual pictures with you before y'all have had any type of physical intimacy, okay? And I know a lot of you women out there will relate to this in terms of getting unwanted, D-pics from guys. Trust me, the struggle is real. I've heard every story from all of my lady friends and my students and my clients, right? But it can be more subtle than that, right? It can be a guy that you've just started talking to on a dating app, sending you one of those topless bathroom selfies, right? Or just some picture of him like lounging on the couch. It can just be weird, right? But it's a guy trying to prime the pump and trying to just short circuit and fast forward through the stages of getting to know you and take things right to physical intimacy, right? Because he's just looking to get the conversation and get the energy there as quickly as possible. And he also might be asking for those type of pics from you. Oh, what are you wearing? Blah, 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 blah. Again, this is all probing. This is all just seeing where you're at and seeing if you'll, put down your defenses and just give the farm away to this guy. So if a guy is rushing you on that front, it's important for you to recognize that and recognize that he's probably a guy who's not interested in any kind of emotional investment or emotional exchange with you. This is a transactional thing, and it's time to tell him to boy. And the fourth sign that a guy might be a player is if he wants your first date or one of your very early dates to be in a place where he doesn't have to talk to you and he can touch you. Okay, so I'm talking about nightclubs, I'm talking about, after hours clubs, I'm talking about places where, the weight is off of him of having to make conversation, because at the end of the day, it's not about getting to know you, right? It's just about seeing where the physical threshold is of what you'll allow him to do, all right? So any place that's dimly lit and serves alcohol and has loud music, anything like that is a sign that this guy really isn't that interested in getting to know you. He just wants to dance with you, see if he can get you drunk, and roll the dice and see what he can get away with. So if a guy's doing that, chances are he ain't Mr. Right. And the fourth sign that a guy might be a player is if he ghosts you or plays dumb the moment that you stand up to him or set a boundary. Now, as I said earlier, these guys are bullies and they're a kind of predator, right? So they get their power from just running over people and manipulating people and violating their boundaries to get what they want. So in this situation, when they're trying to push the boundaries, they're trying to see what they can get from you and try to take you outside of your comfort zone. And then the moment that you assert yourself and say, hey, I'm not comfortable with that and I'm not down with that for whatever your reason is, which are all valid, right? If he immediately just shuts off and goes away, or even worse, says, well, I didn't know that was, something that that you would be offended by. Then that guy's basically gaslighting you. If he's playing dumb and trying to make it seem like you're crazy or that there's something wrong with you for asserting this boundary, like he's the victim, that's a sign that a guy is a player, okay? Or if he just ghosts you and disappears, also a strong sign, because the guy that cares about you, the guy that's genuinely interested in you, he really does have a deep investment in how you feel. And the instant that you do set a boundary with him, if he's pushing things a little further than you're comfortable with, a man who's truly emotionally invested in you and emotionally intelligent and in it for the right reasons is going to own it. He's going to own it and he's going to apologize. He's not going to use his dumbness as a way of deflecting blame, right? He's going to own it and say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean that, or I didn't know that, but I totally understand why you would feel that way. And I guarantee you moving forward, like that'll never happen again. Okay. Like in that conversation I was telling you about earlier, that's where I was telling you about with my client, she told this guy that she didn't appreciate that sexual comment, because it's not who she is and all that stuff. And she set a boundary very powerfully with him, and he played dumb, right? And then disappeared instead of trying to make it right and come back another way. So again, if a guy gaslights you and tries to make you feel like you're the bad guy, or he just vanishes off the face of the earth the instant that you stand up to him, it's because you've exposed him. You're not going to be an easy target. Therefore, he's going to move on. So good for him, because you don't want him in your life anyway. And the third sign that you might be dealing with one of these kind of guys is if things are going well, or maybe they're just going okay, right? They haven't really gone great, but they haven't gone bad. You're into a rhythm of seeing somebody, and then all of a sudden, poof, he just vanishes off the face of the earth, right? He disappears, and he's gone for a while. Maybe it's 2-3 weeks, maybe it's a month, maybe it's a couple months. And then all of a sudden he comes back from the grave, right? He comes back from the dead and he's like, hey, where you been, stranger? And tries to pretend like nothing happened, like he's not the one who did it. Like, oh, I never heard from you or whatever. He just sort of flips it on you, right? A lot of times when a guy does that, he ghosted you and he disappeared from your life because he had other targets or other women that he was, pursuing. And so he let you fly by the wayside, and now he's circling back around because he's finished up with whoever that latest target or conquest was, and now he's got to see because he was talking to a lot of women at that time, right? He's going to see which of these women are still open to connecting and communicating with him. So ladies, if a guy, has been talking to you and you've had this nice dialogue or things have been going okay, then all of a sudden he vanishes, and then a month or two later he comes back either playing dumb or with some elaborate story about how, he got deployed to whatever, or he had some business trip, but he never made an attempt to reach out to you. He gave you no time or energy or notice about it. Chances are that guy is not someone you want to trust, and don't be one of those poor girls that gets drawn back into communicating with this guy, because that's all he's looking for, is who can he still reel back in potentially. Don't be one of those ladies, okay? And the second reason that a guy might be a player, and this is a big one, is if he is irrationally jealous of the men in your life, your friends, your coworkers, men that you spend time with. If the guy that you're seeing or dating, especially in the very early stages of getting to know you, is being very sort of possessive and jealous and asking you, well, what's the deal with that guy at your work? Or I saw you having coffee with, that guy from your office, and what was up with that? If he starts like asking you weird questions like that and sort of trying to exercise control or possession over you at any point in the relationship, or particularly in the early stages, that is a huge red flag, because what he's doing there is he is projecting his own shadiness on to you. And this is one of the interesting things about, men like this, and also narcissists, which are sort of a variant. I think a lot of players may be narcissists, right? Is that whatever they're doing, whatever their insecurities are, whatever their own major ways that they're betraying your trust are, they're going to see that in you. You're going to be a mirror for that for them. And so they're going to be projecting their own lack of integrity and their own faults and their own betrayals and stuff onto you. So again, if a guy is being irrationally jealous with no objective reason to be doing so, right? He's just throwing this stuff out onto you just arbitrarily all the time, and you feel like you can't be comfortable around your guy friends or around your coworkers, because if this guy sees a text from one of them, he's going to like flip out on you. Chances are that's a guy who is doing a lot of sketchy things himself, and that is your cue to run. And the number one sign that a guy that you are dating or getting to know may be a player and not someone you want to trust is if he has this massive story that all of his exes are terrible people. This is one of the most classic examples of a toxic masculine behavior. If a guy has a story that every single woman he's ever dated is this crazy, awful person, or every girl that he's ever dated has cheated on him, and poor me, and I'm the victim, and blah, blah, blah. A lot of what these men are doing, if they are players, is that they are men who have chronically disrespected women throughout their life, okay? And they generally have a pretty bad reputation. They have a pretty bad reputation out in the community. They have a pretty bad reputation with these former women in their life. And what they're doing is trying to proactively discredit these former lovers, these former partners of theirs, so that if you hear anything from them, you won't believe it. So they're sort of trying to proactively manage the fallout around all of their misdeeds that they've done in terms of you, and they want to paint themselves as the victim, which is again a classic trope or a classic identity that narcissists and players and wounded masculine men will do. Poor me, everybody's out to get me, all these women have used me, and blah, 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 blah. A lot of times it's all smoke and mirrors, and it's just a way of him trying to deflect all the bad press and the bad juju that he's got from all of his past relationships. So remember, ladies, if a guy says that all of his exes are terrible and this and that, well, who's the common denominator? What's the common denominator in all those relationships? That guy. That guy is the common denominator. So chances are he is the issue, he is the problem, and that is a huge red flag and something that should send you heading for the hills. So ladies, if any man that you are seeing is exhibiting 2 or more, I'm just going to go ahead and say 2 or more of these traits, you want to be very conscious of the fact that you may be dealing with a guy who's not getting to know you for the right reasons. I'm going to go ahead and review those for you again so we can make sure we get them all right in here. Number 10 is he only hangs out with you on his terms. He's hyper controlling about where you're meeting up, how you're meeting up. You're only at his place. You're only at your place. It's very last minute. He's not setting plans with you way ahead of time. That is not a good sign. And number 9 is he immediately pulls back and disconnects emotionally or physically after sex. This is a classic sign. If a guy gets out as soon as he gets off, or he's out the door because he's got a million things to do as soon as y'all are done having fun, that guy is probably a player. And number 8 is you never meet any of his people, any of his friends, any of his family. He keeps you kind of in this weird isolation state where you maybe hear about them a little bit, but you never actually get integrated into those parts of his life. That is not a good sign, because if a man's emotionally invested in you, he wants to share you with the people that are close to him. And number 7 is he brings up sex or sexually inappropriate comments in the very early stages of the conversation, either in your first couple chats on a Bumble app or a dating app, or maybe just in text messaging. He's just getting really sort of creepy about sex and throwing out comments like my student and client had to deal with in her conversation with that guy. That's a guy who's probing your boundaries and seeing if you're willing to just go right in and be super sexual with him right away. That's not a guy who's looking for a relationship. And number 6 is he tries to exchange sexual pictures with you before you've had any type of actual physical intimacy. So he sends you like that creepy picture of him lounging on the couch, with his shirt off, or he's, asking you what you're wearing when you're getting ready for bed and stuff like that. If a guy is going there and y'all haven't even met up yet, you've never kissed, there's no built up sexual tension between the two of you, that's a guy who's just trying to fast forward and take the path of least resistance to try to get to the bedroom and try to get to the gratification that he wants. And the 5th sign is if your first date or an early date is to a place where you can't really talk, but he can touch you. So a nightclub, a movie, a crowded bar where y'all are able to drink and it's loud and it's close quarters like that. That's not a good sign. That's a guy who's not really curious about who you are. It's not about conversation. It's about trying to escalate physical intimacy as quickly as possible. So don't put up with that. And number 4 is if he ghosts you or plays dumb the instant that you try to set a boundary or stand up to him and his advances. Okay, so this is classic bully 101, right? A bully's only as strong as you allow him to be. And the instant that you stand up to these guys and you say, hey, I'm not cool with that, a lot of times they lose their power and they're immediately either going to check out and try to find an easier target, or they're going to try to regroup and pretend like they had no idea what was going on and try to make it seem like you're the bad guy, right? They'll gaslight you about it to try to reverse the dynamic of the situation, because they do not like being on the defensive and they do not like losing control of the dynamic between the two of you, because that control is how they're able to easily manipulate, unfortunately, a lot of women. And the 8th sign that a guy is a player is if he disappears off the face of the earth for no observable reason after you've been getting to know him, and then after a long period of time, a month or more, he just randomly materializes either with no excuse and just pretending like nothing happened, right? Or some elaborate story that doesn't really pass the sniff test. If a guy just ghosts and just disappears and then comes back randomly way later and tries to pretend like it was no big deal, that's a guy who had other things going on that worked themselves out, and now he's coming back around seeing who he can reconnect with, and you do not want to be one of those ladies. And number 9 is he is irrationally jealous of your connections and friendships and relationships with other men in your life, your coworkers, even people in your family, friends that you've had for many years or your whole life. He's going to be projecting his own shadiness, right, and his own lack of integrity onto those men, and he's going to be, lashing out at you about that. So if a guy's being very possessive, he's being very jealous, and he's not comfortable with you having just healthy male relationships in your life, that's a guy that probably can't be trusted himself. And last, but definitely not most least, the number 1 sign that a guy is a player is if all of his exes are terrible people. All of his exes are crazy. All of them couldn't be trusted. Blah, 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 blah. That's a story as old as time, and that is a sign that he is he's the toxic one, right? Because he's the one creating these toxic situations again and again and again. So there you go, ladies. I hope that these 10 signs, when used with the power of your own discernment, will help you recognize if a guy that you're getting to know or seeing may be a player, and then you can let him know that you are not interested in being played, because you are here for a beautiful, meaningful, healthy relationship. And trust me when I say these guys are never going to give it to you. So get out there and find that beautiful relationship that you're so deeply worthy of. But before you do, be sure to take a second, hit that little subscribe button, and don't forget to click the link to sign up for my free love course, Mastery of Connection, starting August 9th. It's going to be so much fun. You're going to get like many hours of live free coaching with me, 20 video modules, and we're going to have an incredible community of women from all over the world. It's going to be an unforgettable, transformational experience. It's going to help you connect with yourself and the men in your life so much deeper from the inside out. So if that sounds good, and it's absolutely free, right? What do you got to lose? So be sure to click that link in the comments and caption, fill out your application, and we start August 9th. It's going to be a party, and you can sign up anytime from now through the duration of the course. And even if it's after the course, I'll be putting people on a wait list for the next one. So no matter what, you'll be in good hands, and we're going to have an amazing experience. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.